Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Fish, and today we're going to dive in and take a look at some exclusive Total War Warhammer 3 gameplay. This is the new game mode that they are dubbing the survival battles. Basically, in these battles, you're going to be able to build defenses. You push your way through a map, slowly taking more and more objectives, which will give you more resources, which will allow you to recruit more soldiers until you kind of get your way all the way to the final stage, which will be the final boss, and then you have to take down waves upon waves of enemies. This is going to be a campaign feature, and from what I gather during the event, they were really suggesting that this is going to be kind of like into the mid to late game, that you're going to be fighting, kind of pushing back into the realms of chaos, which is really interesting, and it's a nice way to spice things up. I really hope they add more of these different types of battles. Again, this is kind of maybe refer it to something like the Vortex campaign in Warhammer 2, where you are trying to complete these rituals and then you have to fight loads of these stacks. I would imagine it would be something along them lines. You get to a certain stage in the campaign, you complete a Warhammer 3-esque ritual, and then you dive into the realms of chaos. This time we are fighting the hordes of Khorne as we move into the Brass Citadel, hopefully taking out one of their stronger lords. So in this video, as I said, we'll be taking a look at the new survival battle. It's about 30 minutes long. I'm going to go ahead and put in some cool cinematics in there, and we're basically going to kind of run through all the stuff that I'm seeing. As well as this will be from the point of view of a more historical centric Total War fan, and someone who's very much looking forward to actually dive in and see what Warhammer 3 is all about, and hopefully reignite that spark for me in the series.
Warriors of Kislev, we have traveled far and fought hard, but at last we have arrived in Khorne's bloody realm. Before us stands the Brass Citadel, where the Blood God's gatekeeper stands guard. We must call out the fiend and slay him. He rallies his demons for a last desperate defense. Vanquish them with ice and steel. This is the ruined fort, defended by Khorne's lesser thralls. Wipe them out and capture the icon of ruin. This will give me a foothold and grant us supplies to reinforce for the struggle ahead.
So our first objective in this battle is to take the first point in the map. There are 3 objectives in this campaign map, and we basically have, battle map, and we have to push our way through. It's a linear map, it's only kind of one direction. However, you will be constantly being attacked. There'll be waves and waves upon waves of enemy soldiers running towards you. And I mean, for the most part as well, it wasn't difficult. In these press events, they generally do make it very easy for people, because that basically means, there's a lot of people there from the press who maybe have never played Total War before, but it did start to ramp up towards the end, and I imagine on the legendary difficulties is going to be very difficult. So this initial wave is pretty easy. I've just set up my defenses, archers hammering, the cavalry moving around, and the Kislev units do look absolutely amazing. I love that. We'll see basically a lot of the Kislev roster in this battle, especially that giant bear, that giant ice bear that we can summon towards the end. But as I was saying, our first objective is just to take this hill, clear out the enemies, and push our way up. Securing this flag will unlock the next area. However, until that area is unlocked, we're going to have to go ahead and hold the line. We're going to get a resource whenever we do capture these objectives called supplies, and we can spend these supplies on all manner of things. We can recruit more soldiers, we can heal our pre-existing soldiers, we can build towers from a variation of different types. I think there's 4 different towers, each of them costing more or less supply, and they all provide you with some really good bonuses. As well as that, you can also build barricades at set points as well in the map to funnel the enemy in, slow them up. You can also go ahead and give yourself bonuses. So we'll see all about when I do actually manage to capture the first objective. And it's honestly quite cool. I like how they are diving in and trying to think outside of the box, because we've never really had something like this in a Total War before, and I think it is something, just a nice, new innovative type of battle. It's really cool, and I'm definitely a big fan of that. I love it when they do dive in, and again, I think they need to do more of this type of stuff in Warhammer 3, and hopefully they will, because I really feel like battle diversity is something that the game does lack on a little bit from my point of view. Obviously, they excel in troop variety and different nations and stuff, but I feel like a lot of cool stuff would be awesome if we had, like, more battles like this, more interesting stuff, and also have a ton of, you know, maybe like minor settlement battles and stuff like that would be really, really cool.
We can barricade these bottlenecks. Use the portals to summon fresh troops or heal and upgrade our warriors using whatever supplies we have left.
Okay, so there you go. She's just gone ahead and queued us good old Elsa, the Ice Queen. So basically, now that we've taken this position, you can see all these building icons, and there's 4 we can choose from. There's a barricade variant, there's a barricade variant we can stand on, there's a debuff area where we can really funnel the enemy into and give them debuffs, and then there's also a buff one as well that gives us bonuses. So you can really go ahead and decide on exactly what you do. Again, you can see all the different towers here. I found that just building the most expensive one was insane. Again, you know, in these press events, as I mentioned earlier, they're generally set on an easier difficulty. They're never normally as difficult as, you know, when you do play in the game. So I imagine you're getting given a lot of supplies, whereas on the legendary or very hard, you're going to be really assigned like a lot less resources, so you're only going to be able to build or recruit a handful of soldiers. But yeah, I built this, I think this is the Wizard's Tower or the Mage's Tower, and it just absolutely melts, because the thing is as well, we're going to be constantly getting waves coming in our back. Even when we move on from this area, we're still going to have to leave units back to defend it. These Wolfhounds are going to come in and just constantly harass us. However, with a couple towers, it, you know, seemingly does do a pretty easy job at just repelling them. And you don't have to worry too much. But again, you know, on the harder difficulties, you're gonna probably, you know, be forced back and, you know, forced to either have to leave more troops, which you can't really afford to do so, or maybe just, you know, kind of, you know, just leave back an elite unit that can hold the line with the support of a tower or something. So right there as well, you can see that I am recruiting more soldiers. In the first stage of the battle, at this point, you can only recruit kind of the lower tiers. However, as you get to the next stage, you kind of almost unlock an upper tier of soldiers, so you can get more elite men into the fight. And then on that final stage, you can basically recruit anything you want to. Obviously, you know, the better the units are, the more it's going to cost. And right here as well, you can see the enemy just truly charging in, the bloodletters flying themselves into battle, and the beautiful men of Kislev. I mean, they've done a great job aesthetically with the 2 factions. I think they look really, really good as always. And you also got some of there as well, some Chaos Warriors reinforcing there as well, again looking really good. And we haven't even touched on any of the Winds of Magic. I think I'm about to do one of Elsa's most OP spells possible. You can also see that Wizard's Tower just racking up some kills. The nice thing is as well at this stage, we hit this spell right here. I can't remember what it's called. I didn't get a good enough look. This spell is so busted. I cannot tell you how strong this spell is. Everything's going to be here. So basically, it's a slow effect spell in an AoE. It slows everybody down as it ramps up. And then when it gets to a certain point, it just does damage. Now, multiplayer, I can't imagine this spell is, you know, ridiculously OP because players will just spread out. But when it gets to this stage, it just starts pumping. And again, I think I can only imagine what the likes of Legend of Total War are going to do with this spell, because the AI is going to clump up, and then you're going to just absolutely just eviscerate your opponents with it. I mean, obviously, again, the Winds of Magic is very expensive and so on and so on, but yeah, it's definitely one of those spells, once you get it in the late game, really amazing. Look how awesome the Brass Citadel does look right there. You kind of got that Stranger Things-esque feel to it, which is actually amazing. So we've actually managed to go ahead and clear up the defenses on the other side, and now another wave is spawning on the side that we haven't defended quite yet. Obviously, as we get further on into the settlement as well, they'll be coming from both sides. I think this is just, again, to kind of really warm you up. You know, be like, oh, there's enemies coming here and there's enemies coming there, you know, at different times. So it's kind of giving you time. Right here as well, I am upgrading the armor value as well. So buffing my soldiers of my warriors with some of the supplies that I did gather. You can also see I've got barricades set up and I'm getting guns up there. Barricades kind of work like they do in any Total War game. You can mount soldiers on them. The enemy have to cut them down and destroy them. Which is pretty interesting. But again, I was like thinking whilst I was playing this, modders are going to have a good time with stuff like this, I think. And hopefully we get a bunch of like small custom maps and stuff like that, you know, like custom, almost like quest battles, I guess, you know, where modders create scenarios and you have to try and beat them. That'd be really fun. And like, you know, they could give the races different bonuses in this game mode, again, which would be, you know, pretty goddamn cool. to have like the dwarfs being able to repair certain assets and stuff. So yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to the way that mods are going to work in this setting already. As you guys know, I am a pretty big mod guy. Again though, you know, luckily we are just able to funnel the enemy down these paths. They are coming from other positions, but for the most part it's pretty easy. That wizard's tower is just doing an insane amount of damage. You can see right there, I also could just see exactly how much damage we were taking. Again, you got Elsa right there doing some decent damage. I mean, she is an absolute monster when it does come to fighting. Her animations look amazing as well. Whenever she moves, she kind of just floats on an ice cube, which is dope. And here you go, another little close-up of my soldiers. I've basically repelled the 2 waves now, and I'm getting ready to move on to the next section. So just a nice little close-up of my forces. So there we go. We have now broken through. The gates have gone down. However, we are going to have to leave some soldiers back here, obviously, to keep the enemy at bay, which isn't too bad. And now we're moving on to the next section of the battlefield, the inner walls. And again, this is, as I said, a pretty linear battlefield. There's 2 paths in, but we can go ahead and exploit. We're obviously outflanked on either side, and we have to break our way forward. Luckily, though, once we do actually manage to break our way forward, there are more towers to go ahead and build on, so we can really decide to push up. As well as that, once we do take the next section of the battlefield as well, we can then spawn soldiers there and basically move up our spawn point. Here you go, some of the awesome like Winged Hussar-esque units running through the bloodletters. They really don't stand a chance whatsoever. We are getting attacked a bit more heavily on the other side though, so we're going to have to obviously deal with that. And you can also see as well, I'm not sure if it's too zoomed out or not, but you can also see as well my supplies in the top of the map as well. And you can also see that bar as well, which is when we do take the flag, we have to basically wait until that bar fills up until we can move on. You can also see the armor upgrades on my soldiers, which is very nice indeed. You can see that these guys do have the silver armor upgrades, which is fairly expensive. I did spend a lot of my points during this battle as well, spending it on just upgrading the armor and also replenishing my base soldiers, because the infantry seemingly were just a solid unit just to hold the line. So even against some of the more bloodthirster-esque units we're going to go up against later on, and then obviously eventually the gatekeeper of the Brass Keep, they did a pretty decent job at just holding the line, so you can definitely put a lot of stock into these brave men. However, more soldiers will be arriving as well. So yeah, basically move my cavalry through, trying to speed run. And again, this is not bad, pushing our way forward and using the cavalry to capture the main point. Obviously, that's not a bad idea whatsoever. You can see right here, I'm going to be recruiting some more soldiers. Again, just to stop this kind of assaultment coming in my rear. Just kind of a couple more archers. You can also put soldiers back into the portal, and then they'll go back into the pool. I'm pretty sure you still have to pay to get them. Basically, I think they're a reduced price, and you can bring them back out. They'll have full ammunition. They'll be fully healed and stuff like that. So again, if you have a very depleted unit, you can throw it back in and move on. But yeah, constantly having to worry about that. Another Winds of Magic right here, ripping through these Khorne units. The Chaos Warrior is going to be thrown back, and luckily I don't have any large there whatsoever. So as I was saying earlier, you can actually, I guess, speedrun it, but as soon as you take that extra flag, you will be going ahead and initiating the next wave to come in, which honestly is not a bad idea. This was my first time playing the campaign map, so obviously the battle map, so I was still very much taking it one step at a time. And again, you guys can see the awesome atmosphere. Creative Assembly always do a great job with the Warhammer atmospheres. They always look amazing. It's just sometimes you can't always go to all these amazing places. However, in this map, you can basically go anywhere you want, so there's nothing out of your reach, so it just looks insane in the corner of your eye. So nice, we have now taken the next point, and you'll be able to start to see that the wave timer will be going up, and hordes will be coming in. You can also see the type of units we can recruit, so I'm going to recruit a couple more units of infantry. I've got some horse archers now as well. I was, unfortunately, obviously this being one of my first times playing, I was a little bit stupid when it does come to when it does come to actually bringing my soldiers up. Unfortunately, I could have just spawned them up at the next point, but I forgot to click it. All you have to do is click that image and with a little icon, and the soldiers will spawn at the next point. So yeah, it was my bad right there. And I like that mechanic as well, because it means that if you are, suffering in the rear, obviously under the constant assaults, you can move back. This is one of the artillery pieces I could bring in. I think this is Little Grom, yeah, it's going to hopefully do a decent amount of damage. A pretty strong mortar strike right there. And in the second wave, we are being attacked on multiple sides. We have some of the demonic cavalry coming at us. We have a lot more of higher tier units. And again, just going to try and use the magic. I mean, again, we were given a lot of winter magic in this battle, and it really did show to do a lot of damage. You can also see as well that I've barricaded one of the sides on this part of the map right there. And I'm just basically trying to funnel the enemy in as best as I can. You can also see as well that I think I applied one of the debuffs there as well. So I'm going to hold the enemy in place, and hopefully that'll be enough to keep them down. I also did definitely leave a few too many men back here at my rear place. I think, again, I messed up right there. And spawned in troops all the way back, which, again, does slow you up and, does cause you a little bit of problems. Because you're constantly having to run soldiers up here where you don't need them whatsoever. And again, you can abandon them back positions if you don't want them. But I believe they will be, hampering your supply when you do get them in. So again, going to be casting this absolutely ridiculously OP spell. That is just going to tear the enemy apart. They just don't stand a chance whatsoever. I mean, look how many. We've got some good tier units here as well. These are Khorne warriors. And, yeah, they're going night-night. The spell is just going to rip them apart and, yeah, really clear out the enemy lines. It just eviscerates anything it touches. It's such a strong spell. I imagine that they all died before it even got to this point in the spell, before it got to phase 3. Which was kind of ridiculous, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, right now, just taking on this back wave. There's only, 17% of it. I'm upgrading my towers now, because as you guys saw in the second, when we moved on to this stage of the battlefield, the enemy do actually sally out to try and attack you and kind of hold you back and buy themselves time. I would like to see this actually being on a more vicious timer as well, because I think we had, 40 minutes to play this, or something like that. It would be cool if this was more of a timed event where you have to, break your way through and claim victory, especially if you play on the harder difficulties as well. Have it so that you are really up against it, and you do have to, you can't just sit idly by and farm the enemies, get soldiers, and then move on. Like, there is a kind of a bit more urgency around that. And as you can see, the enemy have managed to break down one of my defensive structures right there, unfortunately. But we've cleaned these guys up quite nicely, and now it's just kind of moving back to the center and preparing for the third and final push into the enemy settlement. Because obviously we're going to have to push into there, we're going to have to kill the enemies, and then we're going to have to receive the wave, and then we're going to have to receive the ultimate boss at the end of it. And the waves are starting to get a little bit crazy back here, but nothing too scary. I definitely did leave that maybe too few many men here. You can also as well destroy these towers that you've pre-built, and it will refund a little. I think it refunds half of the cost you spent to buy it. So if you realize that you don't need it anymore, you can also do that.
We must seize the icon of torment and tempt Khorne's gatekeeper from his lair.
So yeah, nice. Now we're pushing up here. You can see I can build some more towers. The final stage is kind of unlocked for us to push forward. Not massively in position, but it's not the end of the world. My soldiers are pretty healed because I'm spending some of my resources on to regenerate them, which is always good. And we have plenty of winds of magic left as well, so that's not too bad. I probably should have maybe replenished some of my cavalry. Would not have been a bad idea to get them up to full strength. But yeah, my army is looking pretty solid right now. We are going up against a bloodletter now with wings, so that's going to be kind of scary, but nothing. Oh, sorry, bloodthirsters. Sorry, bloodletters are the smaller ones. The bloodthirsters. But again, these mage towers do rip him apart very, very quickly. Like, I think investing in these towers is just very effective. And again, if you really wanted to, you could probably just kind of kite the enemy and let the towers rack up all the kills. And you can see he does actually go down. So I didn't actually show too much of that. Obviously, he was alive for a little bit longer than that. But yeah, not too bad. And I think these maybe are the special weapon bloodthirsters as well, as their weapons are glowing, whereas the ones we fought at the beginning weren't. So I assume they have some form of enchantment. I mean, honestly, as well, back here, I don't really need to spend any of my resources, we can push forward. And this is one of the lords I brought in, riding that vicious polar bear into battle, which is always lovely to see. I also have some of the hybrid glaive warriors as well in my army. I'm not sure if you can see there. Yeah, they're right next to my Kislev warriors, and they're bow and glaive. They have like enchanted weapons. They have like ice glaives on them as well, which is great. So yeah, nice. Managed to push in. We've taken the final layer, and now we have to repel this wave. You can also see as well, we're about to summon the big boy right here. I think we can have about two of them on this battlefield. Obviously, they cost a lot of my supply. But yeah, these beasts are absolutely ridiculous. They're so tanky, and they obviously represent as well the Kislev god in battle, you know. So again, I'm building up as many barricades as I can. I've got archers set up. I'm really trying to funnel the enemy into a few points that I can exploit as they come in. Again, this is not the final wave either, so I have to deal with this wave, and then I believe the gatekeeper comes out and I have to try and defeat him, which hopefully won't be too difficult. Again, I have a ton of winds of magic, sending cavalry out to try and disrupt them, trying to bide some time for my barricades to be built. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I am running out of resources fairly quickly. Just trying to get as many men up here as possible to really try and reinforce this position. And, you know, all whilst as well, you can see on that mini-map, I am being attacked in my back. So things can get a little bit overwhelming. Nothing too crazy. And yeah, right there, we are being hammered. Some nice buffs, though. One of my my lords as well coming in here, just giving some nice little bonuses to the infantry, keeping them alive. You can also see my bear doing some decent damage. My cavalry, though, unfortunately, finding themselves very much out in no man's land and, yeah, being run down by the enemy as my lord tries to take on one of the bloodthirsters and actually, bloodthirsters, and actually takes him down as well. Nice. You can also see right here, I have also built one of the default barricades as well, which do actually just stop the enemy. They're a bit more tankier than the ones you can mount. And they're basically just there to like hold the line down and keep the enemy back. Yeah, you can see like the assaults on the back, you know, are getting up there. I basically left some archers back here along with some of my horse archers and stuff. So I left some good units back there. Well, not really good units, but you know, enough. And right here you can see my plan working pretty well. Again, you'll be trying to do some decent damage with them. With some of the else's pre-built, almost cantrips, I guess they are. Yeah, and again, you can see that damage right there. Going in quite nicely. But again, we're fighting a handful of enemies. But boom, another OP spell going down. The nice thing is about these pre-builds is you can really just mess around with the magic. And yeah, the skills that we have are just absolutely insane. Yeah, nice little close-up here of some of the Khorne cavalry. And again, yeah, I think I can see I actually upgraded that tower as well to make it a little bit better now. I have a few more resources. And yeah, you can see the enemy are no longer there. I've got the big old bear in as well. He's doing some serious damage. And they're just reforming. So yeah, it was really nice being able to build the barricades and just holding the enemy at bay as best as I could. Because it allowed me to really funnel in the enemy. And whilst these towers just do serious damage, the magic coming in as well. And once again, you can see I'm doing a lot of damage as my men just prepare. And you can really just like choke point the enemy as well. Oh yeah, also as well, the bear does also have kind of like the dragon breath ability as well. So we'll hopefully get a nice little close-up of that. As he tries to turn his head around and hopefully, you know, dictates to where the enemy is. Just, yeah, tears him apart. Big old bear roar. God damn, it's so cool, man. You gotta love it. I hope we get some more effects. I want to see more like blue in there, you know. Kind of almost like White Walker blue. On this other side, though, I am being hammered, but don't worry, Elsa will be over there momentarily to cast her frost spells. And it will kill absolutely everything. But again, with the Lord's bonuses there that I have, you know, they're doing really good. You can see I'm just all like, oh yeah, I'll click that spell. That's a pretty good one. Making sure I'm just checking my back, making sure these positions are pretty undefended. I do remember the AI actually attacking me on that middle layer, but it doesn't seem like we have been assaulted anytime soon. So maybe it is just the rear position. And again, they're just still trying to smash down that barricade. So you can see the strength of that barricade, the tankier ones that you can't mount, doing some serious damage. And this is an overcharge one as well. Yeah, I do go ahead and really boost this one. And you can see her moving over like a badass bitch, ready to cast her spells. And yeah, it's just, again, gonna send everything here to bed. It's, again, I don't want to keep on harping on about it. But yeah, it debuffs them and then drops down. And, you know, this is what tier phase 2. And then it's going to phase 3 momentarily. There you go, phase 3 now. And that with the Wizard's Tower, you know, There's just nothing left. No, that wasn't even phase B. Everything dies before you even get to this phase of the spell. And the problem is as well is you can't run away from it. You can also see some of the awesome cannons as well from the Khorne demons, looking nice as well. And that machine finally going down. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, now that we've taken out this wave, you can see the wave percentage is on 0. We are going to be going ahead and replenishing my soldiers. Actually, I replenished their vigor by mistake. I think I was supposed to be replenishing their HP because vigor obviously is not important in this game. Or maybe it is a little bit, but I guess nowhere near as important as in others.
Khorne's gatekeeper shows himself at last. Warriors of Kislev, prepare for the fight of your lives.
Okay, so here we go. We have to defeat the gatekeeper. This is the final wave, the final stage. And my forces are pretty battered at this point. You know, I have taken some serious damage. But again, luckily having these towers up is really nice. I think at this point I've been able to afford all 3 of the magic towers, the mages towers. And it's basically just a point of just like reinforcing the section. I'm kind of low on supplies, but I think I do actually have enough to buy another amazing bear, which is good. And you can really start to see the amount of missile fire we have. It's doing a lot of damage. The gatekeeper coming in. I'm not sure what that 10 above his name means. I assume it maybe means their level, which is kind of a cool way of showing it to see kind of like super strong heroes. Honestly, don't mind it. Again, I'm always one for less UI, but if that is what that does mean, then yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, especially in these kind of survival battles, showing you kind of like what tier of enemy you are fighting is not a bad idea when it does come to the heroes. But as you can see, there are a ton of bloodthirsters along with the governor himself coming in, which is kind of scary because they're going to be able to rip through my lines. But we have been lucky enough to buy another bear here, so we've got 2 of them running in. I'm going to throw in my lord as well. He's going to obviously do some decent damage to the enemy as best as he can. And the main thing is as well, he's just buffing up my soldiers. Boom, don't mind me just casting the ridiculously OP spell again. I think I wanted to see if I could get him to clump up a little bit more before casting that one. But yeah, I mean, with the mage towers focusing down as well, you can see that they just rip through these monstrous units. And doing some really good damage. It's nice buffs as well off on my soldiers. We also have the little Grom as well, firing its cannon, its little mortar, which is always nice. Getting some of the War Lancers as well. So these guys are the Bear Lancers. Charging into battle, obviously anti-large, armor piercing. Really strong unit. So basically the upgraded Winged Hussars, right? Because the Winged Hussars are more on horseback, whereas these guys are on polar bear. So, you know, nice little upgrade right there. More of a ferocious mount. And here we go. Gonna pop down that spell again. I mean, I can't, yeah, you can't fault it, right? It's just such a strong spell. Obviously in the base game as well, you know, in these type of battles, you're probably not gonna be able to cast it as much. Also gonna pick up some of the Gun Warriors as well. I really like the Riflemen as well. Something to mention is that they do kind of have that hybrid gun slash halberd on their weapon, which is always nice. And here you go, you're seeing the Keeper really do some damage as I zoom back, just making sure that my rear is protected. Again, you know, I didn't really exactly have a lot back here. You can see I can just quickly go around and recruit some more soldiers. Hey, I'll get some of these men back into the fight. Just kind of reinforce as best as I can as the waves do hype up. But yeah, it doesn't seem like they really attacked me in the middle, which was pretty solid indeed. So not going to complain about that whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, basically we're coming to the end of the battle now. There's only a couple minutes left, and for the most part, I really did enjoy this. You know, as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm coming kind of from a point of view of someone who's not the biggest fan of Warhammer. Not that I don't think it's a good game. I think it's a great game. Just not as good, you know, it's not like designed for me really, you know. But I did enjoy the first one, and you know, the second one got better and better. So hopefully in Warhammer 3, I'm going to give it a real good chance, and you know, just kind of get stuck back into it, because I am looking forward to the game. I'm really hoping they do improve a lot of the battles, and this is a great sign of it, you know, giving us more variety in the battles, so you're not just fighting the same land battle over and over again. I think is really nice, because again, that's kind of my biggest complaint. Not that I'll get into it too much, it's just like battle variety isn't amazing. However, it has got better, and you know, with stuff like this, if they add in, you know, if they improve sieges or do other stuff, that would be really, really awesome. But yeah, boom, there we go. Victory is ours, and we have been able to defeat them. You know, my final thoughts on it, I think it's awesome. I hope they add more stuff like this into the game.
But the war goes on.
As you can see, you know, it's awesome. Obviously, there'll be survival battles for probably each of the Chaos Lords as well. But yeah, I do really hope that they do continue to kind of, you know, focus on features like this and add in more battle types, whether it is, you know, revamp to sieges or other stuff like that, you know. And again, I love the unique feel as well. The ability to build stuff on the fly is a cool system, and again, hopefully they keep on kind of, you know, innovating and improving these battles, and that'll be very exciting. As well as that, obviously the units looked amazing, battle map looked amazing. That's great stuff that they always do there. So guys, if you are enjoying this, make sure you do go ahead and drop a like and a comment down below if you want to see more Warhammer 3 on the channel. It really helps out, and I do definitely appreciate it. Let me know again what you guys thought of the battle. Is this something you're going to be picking up? Are you going to be waiting for more videos to come out, as obviously there will be? Obviously as well, I will be covering the game. I'm not sure how much yet, but I definitely will be showing it on the channel as a Total War YouTuber. It's probably my job to do so. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.